Okay, sorry, a little bit of technical difficulties there. Welcome everyone to our live coverage of the 8th Aesir 1v1. If you watch the 7th, the rules are pretty familiar. It's all top lane, all champions, Summoner's Rift top lane specifically. Not that there's any others. Rest in peace, Twisted Treeline. Summoner's Rift top lane, all champions, 3 bans apiece. And we're already ready to jump into the action. The brackets are up on your screen. We are going to be starting things off watching Fuldmathr, 3-time champion, I believe, versus Starvold, another returning contender and one of our hometown WA competitors. And we already have a few bans. Right now, the bans that have come out are Draven, Darius, Renekton, Callista, Tryndamere, and Lucian. And we're headed right into the pick and ban phase. So let's see if I can't get that up on your screens. Not that it's a really complicated draft, but it is a draft. Here we go. All right. Give me a moment here to get our UI set up. All right. Oh, realizing now that if we're in lobby, we should be doing a stream delay. Do we have a stream delay? Let me double check that. Four times, says Fuldmathr. Okay, 4-time champion Fuldmathr here against Starvold. All right, my apologies to the players. I think because we are going in lobby here, so my intention is to spectate just from the friends list, actually. So I think what we'll do is we'll just do that from now on, and this will just be an unfortunate snafu. Hopefully got our one issue out of the way. And we are 2.5 minutes away from our first game of the opening day. Well, it's only a one-day event, but the opening series of the 8th Aesir 1v1, Starvold versus Fuldmathr. We're going to go to a brief break here, and we'll be back in just about 2 minutes as we load into the Rift. All right, welcome back, everyone. Here we are hitting the rift for game number 1 between Starvald and Fuldmathr. Jarvan the Fourth versus Caitlyn the matchup. Exhaust, barrier, and lethal tempo being taken into teleport, ignite, and airy from Starvald. The lethal tempo is interesting. I mean, to me, that seems like a play for an all-in post level 6, where potentially 90 caliber net not there to get out of the Jarvan Cataclysm, although it generally should be. I mean, that's probably what Fuldmathr should be saving it for, although I could see a situation where he dodges off the flag and drag using that, and then the Cataclysm comes in, and there you have it.
Minions have spawned.
We did see Starvald previously bring out basically an AP Jarvan. I'm not counting that that's going to be what this is as far as full AP, but certainly with the Doran's Ring and starting off with the Demacian Standard. A bit on the magic side to start things off here early in this game. And just to any of our players watching or waiting, as a heads up, my apologies on this first one where I actually joined the lobby. Thanks to the invite, which I appreciate the players doing. Hold on, though. We have an exhaust down in Starvald. Fuldmathr chasing him down. A lot of damage. Headshots coming in. Not going to be the end of the game here, but a huge early trade. You can see the lethal tempo stacking up. Very dangerous. Doran's Blade will keep him pretty healthy. Yeah, the Doran's Ring will get you some health regen if your mana is full, but generally speaking, that's not going to be the case for Starvald, as Fuldmathr dings up level 2, looking for the headshot, won't find that, or the Peacemaker. But Starvald has yet to get a minion in CS, so unfortunately, perils of the range versus melee matchup already here.
Excellent shot.
Look to grab a few of these, but I think it'd be difficult. Oof. That is a ton of damage with the Peacemaker there, and probably forces a recall out of Star. Okay, Fuldmathr did not get the auto off there. Look for the headshot. Has it now. Okay, he's just shoving at this point. 15-1 the CS. Peacemaker again does not connect, and Fuldmathr actually a bit worse for wear in terms of health and mana now. May look for a reset of his own, and he will. Starvald going to go for a reset of his own. A longsword buy is all it was for Fuldmathr. Doesn't have the teleport, which Starvald does have, so he'll be able to come back pretty quick. Refillable pot. Not an excess of gold for the Jarvan right now, unfortunately. Does go for the cloth armor. Try to withstand that a bit more, and he's just walking back, so this is interesting. Chooses not to use the teleport, actually EQing back into lane there, rather than burning that spell, so kind of interesting. I mean, my guess is that he wants some more items, and certainly levels, level 6 absolutely, to really threaten the all-in on a Fuldmathr, whose exhaust will be up in about 30 seconds here and still has the barrier from before. So Star maybe just hoping to get a bit more gold and XP here, maybe find an item that really sets him up for success. I have to say, he's been dodging the Piltover Peacemakers pretty well. Very well. Gets that cannon. So he should be in a pretty good position here if he can just reset, pick up something. I mean, we'll see how much gold he has, what exactly he's going to be able to buy. I mean, certainly something like a serrated dirk would be amazing at this point for just an all-in threat, but with the cloth armor already purchased, I don't know if that's the direction he's looking to go in. Although, I should say, this is post-serrated dirk nerf, so perhaps not the best buy at this point. Fuldmathr going for another reset, and now goes for the Vamp Scepter. So really going for the sustain here, which is kind of what I expected. I honestly expected like a Fleet Footwork or something like that from him, just to make sure he's winning that sustain, because as long as he has that health, there's not a lot of threat from the Jarvan. I mean, he's going to have the 90 caliber net up regardless, unless something ridiculous happens. So he's going to be able to dodge out if he uses that effectively from at least the Cataclysm or the Flag and Drag. So one of those two, if not both, but probably just one. So at that point, the amount of damage that the Jarvan's going to be able to do is going to be somewhat limited in terms of an all-in. Unless, yeah, I mean, if the poke is just perfect there from the Demacian standards, but hasn't really been sticking here, and that definitely is going to counter that Doran's Ring repeated poke Jarvan. I mean, considering the blind pick, I mean, this may just be a situation where, hey, Star was banning quite a few. I mean, we saw the bans Darius and Renekton coming up from Fuldmathr, Tryndamere as well. We saw Star banning Lucian and Kalista too, so
In my sights.
don't know if he was, how long he was planning this Jarvan. I mean, it's something he's brought out before, but he may have wanted to try to remove some of the 80 carries from the equation, but you know, you wonder that the bans add an interesting dimension to this, wherein, you know, Fuldmathr is seeing all these anti-carry bans come out and say, hey, maybe this guy's looking to pick some type of all-in melee champion. So he's thinking, okay, I've got there's plenty more ranged characters that I can pick. Banning Lucian and Kalista, of course, two champions that he has shined on in previous tournaments, makes a lot of sense, but just looking for a marksman, period, there's a lot of options. Okay, Starvald has a Cataclysm. 90 caliber net gets Fuldmathr out of trouble. The Star? I think, okay, he's just looking for a cheeky recall interrupt there. Doesn't find it. Double Vamp Scepter for Fuldmathr, now at 60 CS, has pretty much got his heart set on a CS victory, I think, at this point. That or an effective CS victory wherein Starvald is essentially just forced into an all-in that's guaranteed to lose. So Starvald did teleport back with Dark Seal and 3 Corrupting Pots. So really, essentially, he is just going that full-on poke Jarvan outside of the cloth armor. And the double Vamp Scepter, you can see Fuldmathr really adapting to that, and it's going to make it pretty difficult for any of that damage to stick. I mean, yeah, some extra AP, sure, that's nice. I mean, you can see the damage is not bad, but, I mean, look at those green numbers flying up. 47, 22, another 22. I mean, it's just going to be hard to do a whole lot. Taking some minions now is Fuldmathr, being kind of careful. You know, you can play aggressively when he's out of the line of sight of that flag, knowing the Cataclysm is the only real threat. He is taking quite a bit of damage here. I wonder if Starvald's considering possible angle here with the cooldowns are up. Ah, missing that Q is crucial. Although with the AP, it's not going to hurt as much as it would normally. That is going to sting. And still more poke damage coming out from Fuldmathr. Starvald basically has to recall at this point. 21 CS make that 20 away for Fuldmathr for a CS victory. So Star is going to really be cutting it close. Walking back to lane here, not having the teleport, but at the same time, with that low of HP, he really can't stay. And Fuldmathr going to actually give him, I don't want to say an out, but An opportunity. The triple Vamp Scepter. Incredible. 3 Vamp Scepters. Count Dracula would be proud. Fuldmathr really over-indexing on the lifesteal here. 21%. I'm curious if he has Legend Bloodline. He doesn't. He has Legend Alacrity. As the Resolve secondary. Hang on, though. Starvold. Gonna be looking for an ambush here. Okay, no. Just looking for some poke. But, I mean, we'll be able to see just how much Fuldmathr is lifestealing here. Let's use the 90 caliber net. Ace in the hole is going to continue. So the question is, who is poking down who? 35 HP, a shot there for Fuldmathr. Going to keep him pretty healthy. Starvold looking, does get the knock-up. Exhaust comes down. Cataclysm's available. He's going to step right on the trap, though. A ton of damage. One more auto should do it. And it will. Fuldmathr with first blood and victory in game 1.
A summoner has disconnected.
All right, so with that, we have Fuldmathr up 1-0 over Starvold. And we'll check out our bracket real quick here. See if we have any updates. Looking like we have Dr. C at 1-0 over Ben-Hur, and 1-1 already 2 games through for Big Bang versus Ulfald. They are going to be headed to game 3 and a tiebreaker. We'll see how far. That game has actually just started. So I think what we'll do is we will actually jump over to Big Bang versus Ulfald here and take a look. All right. So we're 2.5 minutes away on that one. So we're going to go to a quick break here. When we return, we will see game 3 of another round 1 series. This one between Ulfald and Big Bang. And welcome back, everyone. Here we are. This is Game 3, Match Point, 1-1 tied series between Big Bang and Ulfald. Seraphine versus Silas, the matchup. Very interesting.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Neither champion we've seen in an Aesir 1v1 before, at least not on broadcast that I can recall. I like the on-the-way ping. Tear of the Goddess start along with a pair of health potions. Same for Ulfald, minus the tear substituted for a Doran's Ring. Airy for the Seraphine and Teleport. Going for a bit more of a poke long game as you would. Flash Ignite and Electrocute for Ulfald. We'll be looking for an all-in, so not terribly unlike the game we just saw, but this time around, 2 AP champions.
Minions have spawned.
See Big Bang not wanting to risk anything here. Knowing perhaps he was a tad bit late to lane and therefore potential for Ulfald to set up an ambushes there. But the minions should escort the Seraphine a bit further into the lane. Let's wait and see. Ward is going to spot him out. And actually, yeah, afraid to even step up to the lane here. Looking for the second proc of that E, and Ulf will just take it right back to the minions. More concerned with those this early on, and should ding level 2 first. Big Bang is still only 1 minion in. There's level 2, looking for the dive as Ulfald. Procs that Electrocute, and we'll be satisfied with that. And there's level 2 for Big Bang. Not able to find those roots just yet. And not going to have the luxury of time to get the Rylai's buff that synergizes so well as Seraphine and allows for just a single E-use to root. But we'll probably pretty much need to find those. Okay. Dodging out some of that damage. Oh, nicely done, actually. Big Bang does get the cannon. It's going to keep the CS score fairly even here. And after 1 potion, Big Bang really not in a bad position. Appears we're in for a bit of a CS match for the time being. Ulfald certainly will be looking for the all-ins, but could be difficult to find in this matchup. Not unless Big Bang really missteps. The crucial turning point should likely be level 6. When that Encore can come out from both players. In fact, the Silas is kind of a bold pick because you're essentially just relying on your opponent picking a champion with a rather useful ultimate, which I would say Encore definitely is decent in this situation, simply because it will go through the minions, so it's a great way to catch the Seraphine, assuming Big Bang is not able to flash it, but I think that will be kind of the key, is flash engage from Silas, flash dodge from Seraphine, playing around those cooldowns. We'll see how that goes, as again, right now, for the time being, quiet game. Just as I say that, though, Ulfald goes in for a trade, winds up taking quite a bit of punishment. Big Bang, though, really, really low on mana here. Has the teleport, so certainly can just come back here. Oh, forces the flash out. Now Ulfald with the flash follow, looking for more damage. The Ignite is down. 1 more auto should do it. He's chasing. He is looking. No, the last tick of the Ignite was there. Ulfald with a 2-1 victory is headed to round number 2.
A summoner has disconnected.
And believe it or not, Starvold's match is just about to start. So we're actually going to get a chance to see that one. Unless, oh, okay, so that's actually going to be match number 3. So we skip match 2. Starvold actually triumphing against Fuldmathr in match 2. We did not get a chance to see it on stream, but we will see the series deciding game 3 between Fuldmathr and Starvold when we return in 2 minutes. Hello once again, everyone. We're back for more Aesir 1v1 coverage. If you missed it, we got a chance to see Ulfald triumph over Big Bang and move on to round number 2. Meanwhile here, 4-time champion Fuldmathr against returner Starvold has actually gone to game 3 as well. 1-1 the series score. Now the tiebreaker, a pair of marksmen, Ashe for Starvold, Caitlyn once again for Fuldmathr. Exhaust Barrier, the spells for Fuldmathr, sticking with what we saw previously with the Lethal Tempo, the Doran's Blade, and Health Pot start. Starvold goes for Ghost and Barrier, and a Lethal Tempo of his own. And Starvold will start things off pretty well here. The range making it tough. But dodging out in the headshot there means Starvold is going to firmly win that trade, and I wonder if Fuldmathr doesn't just reset here. It kind of looks like that's what he's... Yeah. He's just going to go for a straight-up reset with minions having not even spawned yet. So at the end of the day, not a huge difference. Although Fuldmathr is going to have 1 minion kill from that war, technically. We don't have a meaningful way to differentiate, so if by some miracle this game comes down to 100-99 the score, we will know why.
As expected.
Fuldmathr with a little bit of the early push here. Does have that slight range advantage. Ooh, headshot. Pretty even trade, though, overall. Fuldmathr with the level 2. Star still looking. Ah, and taking that Peacemaker. Oh, and the 90 caliber net headshot. That is a tough trade for Star. Really wants that level 2, and Fuldmathr does not want to give it to him.
Brilliant.
Zoned off of XP, but now the turret should help that. Nice dodge on the Peacemaker, and there is finally the level 2 at last. Should allow for the Ranger's focus from Star. Would imagine he doesn't even bother with leveling the Hawk shot. There's situations where it matters. I mean, if you're following somebody into a brush and don't have vision, don't have a ward, it can be helpful. But I don't know how much value he places on that versus an additional level in any of that. Ooh, and there's the barrier and the headshot. That is so much damage onto Star. The barrier narrowly saves him, but that is going to force the recall out. Fuldmathr dishing out the pain early on here. 10 CS lead and growing, and Star without his usual teleport will have to walk back to lane now. Picks up a refillable pot. Fuldmathr timing that summoner spell. And going for a reset of his own is Fuldmathr 22-8 the score. Starvold should start to cut that here. But that longsword advantage is going to be big. We've already seen Fuldmathr generally finding these key trades, but a lot of that was based on level differences. So Star can get enough XP here to just about equalize things in that department. That will help. I think a lot of what he's going to be having to do is contend with the fact that Fuldmathr can kind of play from within the minions throughout Piltover Peacemakers, whereas Starvold really doesn't have that luxury. Yeah, you can see the minions shielding Fuldmathr from any of that damage, and then the straight-up auto-attack range difference is just going to be big. Biscuits are available for Starvold to help sustain here. It's going to be tough, though. I think again, I hesitate to jinx it as I did with the last one, saying level 6 would decide it, and then the flash is all of a sudden there you go. Ooh, the exhaust there onto Star. Piltover Peacemaker is going to be coming out. There's the 90 caliber mech coming in. There is no barrier available. A few more autos. Star is trying to win, but the barrier saves Fuldmathr, and the last auto takes down the Ash. GGs are out, and Fuldmathr 2-1 heads to round 2.
A summoner has disconnected.
All right, and let's get a quick bracket update here. We're definitely making some progress here. So it looks like, and I'm going to butcher the name because I don't have the slightest clue how to pronounce it, but Ualza Hoi has triumphed over Goose 1-2-3-4 2-0, moving him on to round 2. He will face Fuldmathr, who we just got a chance to see. Will fall in a 2-1 victory, moves on to round 3, and we have yet another series going all the way to game 3, which is Ben-Hur versus Dr. C, and I'm seeing that game has just begun, so we will get a chance to see that. All semifinals matches are streamed, so as a reminder to the players, please make sure that you wait. Don't have both semifinal series going at the same time to make sure that we can indeed see both. We're about 2 minutes away from Game 3 of Dr. C versus Ben-Hur. We will be back in 2 minutes. And hello once again, everyone. We are here for Game 3 of another of our... Was that FF7 or 8 music? No, that was music from Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories. The previous, before that, was Unreal Tournament 2003 menu theme.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
So, Lux versus Nico is going to be our matchup here. Once again, two mages, both of them going Comet, both of them going Flash, both of them going Teleport. However, the Doctor has gone with a Sapphire Crystal refillable pot start here into Ben-Hur, aka I Don't Play Ari's Doran's Ring with a pair of health pots. Ben-Hur with the early start here. I'm definitely eager to see with the Nico if he's able to find some of those masquerading as a minion, what have you moments here. It's pretty difficult to do considering this 1v1 setting. People are just going to be laser focused on things like the minion wave size. Misses two of those melees though. But some of the great Nico players can pull off some pretty crazy stuff since they adjusted that passive to allow mimicking more than just teammates. See if it does come into play as early level 2 with Lux, but just as quick, matched by the Nico. We could be in for quite a bit of farming in this one until somebody finds the root. A little bit of poke coming out. That's another interesting thing. I forget who I saw who was saying it on Twitter, but they're arguing that Nico is the highest skilled champion. You're looking into that, yeah, I'm sure. Nico, the highest skill cap champion, because you have to micro your clone with the W and yourself at the same time. And the really great players can completely fool you as to which one is which. I don't know that I agree that Nico is the highest skill cap champion in the game, but I will say yes, there is definitely some skill expression there. Absolutely. (19-19), the creep score all tied up at this point. No mana left for Dr. C, as we can see, with the Sapphire Crystal. Gives you that nice mana pool start, and the root does come through, but Ben-Hur did not have the Q cooldown there. Misses that one, does find another root. And at this point, I think both players really looking for that opportune recall timing, and it looks like that is going to come through. And as I say that, once again, cast a curse. Both of them return to the lane with can't be more than 30 mana apiece. Left to auto attack, but certainly Ben-Hur with the creep score advantage at this point, 33 to 24. I'd be feeling pretty good. The interesting thing that comes into play in this kind of situation is that, I mean, both players potentially looking for something like a Lost Chapter, but some of the power in a Lost Chapter is the fact that you get that mana restoration per level up. So in that sense, it honestly tends to be more effective earlier on when you are digging those level ups so much that you're increasing your mana pool by that much more. So, you know, backing for Lost Chapter at this point is more for just the raw stats than that passive, which kind of leads you to, yeah. And that was going to be my next point exactly, was that you can see Dr. C is saying, hey, I'm just going to go for the Hextech Alternator because, hey, I mean, that's a passive I can actually use at this point. Still gives me the AP. Has the Sapphire Crystal for the mana that the Lost Chapter would have gotten you anyway. Like, the only downside you're going to have here is you're not going to have the sort of sustained mana regen that something like a Doran's Ring is going to give you. And you can see Ben-Hur is going to match that with an alternator of his own, but still maintains a 10 CS advantage as both players burn those teleports. And now, big thing to watch is going to be the Nico, the Flash Pot Blossom, is going to be something to keep an eye on. There's not a lot that a Lux can do against that outside of just flashing out. Again, I will be curious to see if Ben-Hur... yeah, I think he's probably going to spot that one, but... okay. Dodges out of the Light Binding, but taking a fair bit of punishment there from the Lux, already half health. Looking for the binding, but still the poke damage comes through. You can see Ben-Hur considering perhaps masquerading as a minion here to find that key, maybe using the flash, find that Pot Blossom angle, and there's the flash light binding. Actually, I don't think that was going to connect, but it gets the flash out of Ben-Hur as well. So flash is traded now, which we'll see. I mean, it kind of depends how things go. But it's definitely a useful tool. Oh no, and there comes the final spark. And that is going to decide things. Dr. C is headed on to round number 2. We'll take a quick look at our bracket here for an update. And you can see that's going to be Dr. C versus Ulfald on the bottom half of our semifinals. On the top side, Walzoy versus Fuldmathr. And it appears that series has begun, is currently in Champion Select. So we will go ahead and go to a quick break here. And we should return in about 3 minutes or so with the first game of the Aesir 1v1 semifinals. Fuldmathr versus Walzoy. We return once again with live coverage of the Aesir 1v1. Here we have the first game of our semifinals. Four-time Aesir 1v1 champion Fuldmathr is piloting the Aatrox into UALZ's Brand. Both players had to fight their way through 3-game series that went all the way to that 3rd game and match point, but emerged victorious, and now a showdown, another best of 3, with the winner headed to our finals, a best of 5. Dorn's Shield, and interestingly enough, the Oracle Lens start here for Fuldmathr. Goes for the Conqueror, Flash Ignite, versus the Flash Teleport for UALZ, and the Corrupting Pot. So this is really interesting to see for Fuldmathr, because we've generally seen ranged champions from him. I almost wonder, I see him in the tournament waiting room talking to some of our viewers, fellow players, etc. I have to wonder if somebody didn't broach the topic of, so you only play ranged champions, or something like that, because that I can recall, there isn't, we haven't gotten a chance, excuse me, to see multitasking, brain shuts off there. We haven't gotten a chance to actually see Fuldmathr on a melee champion, I don't think. I could be misremembering. Certainly it's been uncommon if we have seen it. So having the Aatrox here. Fuldmathr played melee against you each time he played against the last tournament. Interesting. Well, there you have it. Okay. Well, I wonder if perhaps we didn't... I don't think we saw those on broadcast, but that definitely evens the statistics a little bit. But that we've... Excuse me, that we've seen on our cast here. Not a lot of melee. So I, at least, am eager to see how he pilots it. Oof. Level 2s for both players. You can see Biscuits coming in for UALZ. Should be feeling pretty good. You can definitely see this being... I mean, we all know how much damage a Brand can do. For those knockups, Fuldmathr not going to find that 3rd Q. So UALZ trading back pretty effectively here. But I am curious, because to me, a lot of the damage that Brand tends to do, at least in this kind of, I think is almost comparable to like an ARAM setting where you don't have to worry about a jungler or anything like that, tends to be A, against multiple opponents where you can guarantee a lot of bounces with the passive as well stacking up, or B, after he's already died. Like, you have to kind of have that sort of, you know, who cares if I die mentality with the Brand. Seer is going to be dodged out from nicely by Fuldmathr, knowing that if you die, you'll still get so much damage off that you probably win the fight anyway, but you don't really have that luxury here because one death and it's over. I mean, sure, best of 3, but the game is over. 12-19, though. Fuldmathr CSing well, paying for it with his health bar, you can see, but UALZ also burning through quite a bit of that mana. And there, Aesir comes out, and now this could be trouble. I mean, Fuldmath's got the Flash Ignite. Okay. He settled for just getting UALZ's Flash with that. This is not even level 6 Aatrox with the bonus movement speed, AD. A lot of poke damage there coming out from UALZ, but without the Pyroclasm, without a lot of mana at his disposal, because he's going through Corrupting Pots and Biscuits and everything, exhausting the last of those reserves to make sure, because he can see if Fuldmath's got Flash, he's got Ignite, he's going to have those all-in opportunities. I mean, pay no attention to his health bar, pay attention to UALZ's health bar, which has recovered substantially, to be sure. And UALZ, I mean, he's getting the almost undodgeable poke there with the spread, but with the, let's see, what is it, conflagration, but not landing those W's. Crucially. Pillar of Flame. That's the name I was looking for. Brands W. Now, very interesting. So, rushing the Grievous Wounds, the Oblivion Orb, first buy there for UALZ. I mean, it's some AP as well. And the Merc Treads, instant buy there for Fuldmathr. That's going to be effective against that Brand Seer, the stun. And it's also going to really limit that damage. Still a healing pot available for Fuldmathr. Though I didn't see if that was left. I think maybe he just purchased that right now. I think that's the case. 36 to 34, the creep score, quite even at this point, and level 6 and Pyroclasm available for UALZ, but he does not have that flash for a couple minutes more. And he's gotta be careful as long as he doesn't have it. On the flip side, Fuldmathr does have the level 6, and there's the Pyroclasm coming out. That's gonna do some damage, but you can see the Merc Treads having a major effect, and Fuldmathr pinging that Brandar. Still the Flash Ignite available, and now, yeah, you can see he wants to get that brush control. The minions are not cooperating. Looking for the Seer, doesn't find it. The pullback, the Ignite, a little more will do it! Massive damage from Fuldmath's Aatrox. That will get him a win here in Game 1.
A summoner has disconnected.
All right, and as a reminder, of course, we are going to be streaming all of the semifinals matches. So I know I kind of jumped around to a few different series there in round 1. It's sort of a, you know, rock or a hard play situation there. We can't see everything, but we can't have all the players here all night. Some of these players have Clash to be in later tonight. So, but with the semifinals, we will make sure that we see everything. Fuldmathr versus UALZ. Game number 2 will be coming right to you after this break. We're back for more coverage. Oh, we have different switch sides. Give me a moment here to fix our UI with that. We're here for game number 2 between UALZ and Fuldmathr. Fuldmathr already with a win in game 1.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
And Kindred, the pick for UALZ. Fuldmathr returning to the tried and true Aatrox. Once again, same build, even the same Oracle lens. UALZ going for the lethal tempo, the exhaust, and the ignite. Early trade forces a recall from Fuldmathr that we've seen in the past. Hey, as long as the minions aren't there, you can do whatever you want, as long as you don't die. And you probably don't want to use any summoner spells either. Definitely would take some discipline that I don't have in terms of potions. I'm a constant offender in terms of just chugging potions at the first sign of trouble. UALZ with firm control of the brush area here is going to mean Fuldmathr has to respect that. We'll have that Oracle lens in just a few seconds, though. And starting things off, UALZ able to dodge quite effectively there. And a quiet early 2 minutes. Level 2 for UALZ. We'll see if he looks to kind of pressure. Nope. Too close, and Fuldmathr already with a level 2 of his own. The Kindred, definitely an interesting choice, just considering really not any opportunity for the passive to be utilized there. So not having the extra range, not really having any of the extra ability damage, nothing of the passive. Of course, she does have have the passive of healing on an auto occasionally, which, interestingly enough, they share with another champion, a certain Aatrox. UALZ certainly with the health advantage and the CS advantage early on here. A little bit of free damage there from Wolf. Wolf's Domain, is that the name of the ability? Perhaps. I've been playing a crazy amount of Kindred lately, and yet I can't remember the names of any of the abilities aside from Lamb's Respite to save my life. Wow! And that forces the flash out of Fuldmathr. Ignite used by UALZ. Exhaust still available. Remind me not to trail off talking about the names of abilities when there are all-ins happening. Fuldmathr, a rough early start here. Ranged versus melee matchup. Actually sticks around. Considered a recall there, but does not have the flash. UALZ does not have a flash himself, period. But again, still has that exhaust available. (26-9) the creep score. Definitely a very strong lead for UALZ, but as we saw in the last game, with the Aatrox, all it takes is just a little all-in window, and the damage is just crazy. Nice thing about a champion like Kindred, of course, is the autos are always going to deal some damage, so you don't necessarily have to worry about your mana pool as much. You still kind of need it to have any kind of real kill threat, but not as limited as a manaless Brand, for example. That can put you in a rough spot. Although I should say, you know, we've all learned from freaking Tyler 1's infamous showdown that a marksman with no mana. It's a death sentence. Wolf's Frenzy, the name of the ability. Just looked it up. That's what we're looking for. And again, you can see UALZ valuing the heal cut there, the Grievous from the Executioner's Calling, and a triple pot buy. Meanwhile, Fuldmathr, pretty similar to last time, says, okay, AD champion, then the armor is what I'm looking for. Nice dodge out there. Infernal Chain's not going to find UALZ. Without boots, one would think that UALZ is generally going to need the Dance of Arrows to get out the CC, but see, that should be coming up pretty soon. The lethal tempo, that can be pretty huge. Just the chase down potential. You've got the mounting dread that comes with the slow, in addition to just the crazy damage, the percent health, and you've got the Dance of Arrows to follow, the attack speed, the lethal tempo. I mean, you get almost sort of a Vayne passive effect. You can see UALZ gotta be feeling pretty good about this one. I mean, certainly far from guaranteed. Cloth armor, double cloth armor, and the boots gonna help Fuldmathr there. The thing I'm curious about is, will the Lamb's Respite come into play? Because that's a situation where, if it's used right, it could be huge. I mean, we're talking about a difference of who dies first, deciding everything. All of a sudden, that ability, it's totally warped what you're looking to do with it. Well, I suppose not exactly warped, but it's changed. I mean, you can look for a tower dive. You can say, hey, I don't care if I die. All that I need to do is make sure... I mean, it could be even a situation where it factors into CS victories. So I'm definitely curious to see how UALZ will use it. I think it's one of those abilities not terribly dissimilar to the Bard ult, in that it's very possible to be misused and to bother your teammates as a result. Even the Infernal Chains find him, and now Fuldmathr looking for the chase down. No flash available. The exhaust should be used. The ignite should be used. There's the Lamb's Respite. He's going to save both for as soon as they are used, and now they come out. He's going to be looking for one more hit, but he can't find it. Fuldmathr able to find the damage through the Kindred ult, and that is going to be a 2-0 victory, and the 4-time champion headed right back to the finals. And with that, we have another CS victory, or excuse me, we have another semifinal series, what I meant to say, on the way in just a few minutes. We're going to head to a quick break, but we'll be back momentarily for coverage of the Aesir 1v1 semifinals. Hello once again, everyone, and welcome back to our live coverage of the Aesir 1v1. This is game number 1 of our second semifinals series. We're trying to figure out who is headed to the grand finals for a best-of-5 showdown with 4-time champion Fuldmathr. Will it be Dr. C or will it be Ulfald? We'll have to wait and see, as this is only game number 1. Fizz versus Lux, our opening matchup. Did see a Lux triumph earlier on the day. We have seen the Fizz in previous tournaments. Generally speaking, it could be a very rough one for the Lux, especially once you have that Chum the Waters at level 6. The all-in damage is just monstrous. Electrocute, Flash, Teleport, I like, even though you're going all-in champion. I think it just gives you a little more flexibility in terms of recall timings, getting a certain item breakpoint that you kind of want. I mean, we're not talking about full items in this type of game, but even a component breakpoint can be big. Something like a Hextech Alternator can be a lot of damage. Ulfald trying to make the most of that level 1. Playful Trickster is going to get Dr. C a minion or 2. Level 2, you have to think Ulf will be looking for those light bindings, and it will be dodged out from nicely by Dr. C with the Playful Trickster. Level 3, dinged over by Ulfald, who's beginning to push this wave inward. We'll definitely be curious to see. Yeah, you can see Ulf was waiting for that Playful Trickster to be used. That's what I was just about to mention. Because that's really your window to hit a light binding. That time not able to find it, though. Comes the Playful Trickster, and now that's going to be it for the Fizz. But a nice trade. Potentially opening things up for an all-in. The Lucent Singularity is going to do a nice bit of damage. And I think with that, Dr. C maybe, yeah, he's simply saying, yep, that's about it. But, oh, okay, the Playful Trickster being used just as the name would imply there by Dr. C, who is down 18-7 in CS, but I would be very surprised if this goes to a CS victory. I've been known to cast a curse things before, so we'll see, but I would be very surprised. Teleport used by Dr. C. Ulfald does not have a teleport of his own, has the barrier to dodge out on some of that damage from potentially an all-in with a Chum the Waters, but it's not a ton. I mean, the barrier, I think it works well against something like we just saw, like a single Aatrox Q or something like that, but the sheer amount of damage in one giant rotation from the Fizz, I mean, the barrier will help, but it's a lot. It is a lot. I think what we may very well see, depending on how well Ulf plays it, is do we see Dr. C kind of go in for a sort of not an all-in, but kind of a sort of a skirmish. You know, just throw a rotation out there, not use the ultimate, but just see if it can proc the electrocute. See if he can kind of fish, no pun intended, for a barrier, get that cooldown, and then once all his CDs are back up, before the barrier is back, then you look for the Chum the Waters. We'll see if that's something that he tries to do. Basically working towards an amp tome at this point. We'll see if we get that far. Still pretty early on here. Ulfald still with a slight advantage at 28 to 20 CS. Picks up an Amp Tome and a pair of boots. It's kind of interesting. I mean, potentially could help you dodge out of Chum the Waters a bit. Maybe just help with spacing against the Fizz, who's melee a little bit more. But Dr. C with Lost Chapter components. Light Binding is going to land. Electrocute procced. That's going to be all she wrote. Slightly in favor of Dr. C, who does have the refillable pots as well to help him out. Final Spark now available. Ulfald having dinged level 6. Definitely got to be careful, though. I mean, that's, I think, going to be the big thing, is Ulfald holding Flash and Barrier for the right moment and hitting those light bindings, making sure that actually lands. If that gets dodged out from by a Playful Trickster, Dr. C uses that effectively, I think that could really mean the difference. You can see, again, he just used it, so that's Ulfald's cue to go in, but that time, not able to find it. But that's really the window. And he really wants to hold this wave out here as well. Actually, okay, interesting that Dr. C walks right back into that, and actually Light Binding is missed out from, and no turret shots. Dr. C just really wanting that wave to reset so that he can get some of this. Ooh, here comes the Chum the Waters. Barrier available. Ulfald not going to use it just yet. Still holding it. Needs it now. The flash away. The final spark. Looking for a little more damage, and he finds it. I can't believe it. I thought he was done, but Ulfald barely surviving the all-in. Back under the turret. The light strikes true, and Ulfald's up 1-0.
A summoner.
Ulfald starting us off with a win in game number 1. We'll have a rematch in game 2 to see if Dr. C can tie things up, or if Ulfald 2-0 heads to the grand finals. To find out, stay tuned as we head to a brief break for a few minutes here. And we'll return once again for further coverage of the Aesir 1v1. This semifinal series is between Dr. C and Ulfald. Ulfald already up one game to 0 in this series. This is a best of 3, so one more win will take him to the grand finals for a showdown with Fuldmathr.
30 seconds until minions.
We have our first mirror matchup, at least that we've seen here on the broadcast today, and that is Fizz versus Fizz, specifically Cottontail Fizz versus Fuzz Fizz. Different starts, though. As much as we have Flash, Ignite, Electrocute, there is some debate over whether Flash is D or F, an always contentious topic, and Ulfald has opted for a Doran's Ring and a pair of potions, to Dr. C's Amplifying Tome and a pair of potions. All quiet for the time being. Should be an interesting dance of playful tricksters. Feel like one of those rules will come into play. Whoever ults first loses, or some such, as they say with the Z 1v1s. I'm not sure if that will be the case here, potentially with the playful tricksters, also providing that untargetability. And Ulfald's winning out there. Certainly does look like first to use the playful trickster does lose out. If that holds true for the rest of our game here. And Ulfald with the early level 2 here. Finally, Dr. C hits it, but the Electrocute is huge. And Ulfald with a dominant early showing here on the Fizz. Ulfald's certainly known to play the Fizz himself, but in the previous tournament and a little bit on the day, it's been practically a signature champion for Dr. C, so it's surprising to see him struggling early on here. We've got a fair bit of League of Legends left to play. We'll see how things go. Ulfald with the Urchin Strike and the playful Trickster right back out. Feels like half of Fizz's kit was just made to be a tongue twister. Fuzz Fizz, Urchin Strike. Playful Trickster. Another one from Ulfald, gonna dodge out that turret shot. Look at that damage, the Ignite, the burn. I think that's gonna be it for the Fizz. It is! Crazy. 3.5 minutes have just arrived, and already Ulfald, with the victory in a 2-0, has punched his ticket to the Aesir 1v1 Grand Finals.
Summoner has disconnected.
Take a quick look at our bracket here for an update, and for those of you just joining us, we just witnessed Ulfald 2-0, just as Fuldmathr did in his other semifinals matchup, meaning Fuldmathr versus Ulfald in a best of 5 will be our grand finals. After 3 out of 4 round 1 matches went all the way to game 3, we've had a pair of 2-0s on our hands, and that will take us to the finals. In a few minutes, we will return with coverage of the Aesir 1v1 Grand Championship. Welcome everyone to our live coverage of the Aesir 1v1 Grand Finals. This showdown will feature a best of 5 between 4-time champion Fuldmathr and Ulfald.
Summoner's Rift.
Starting things off here in game number 1 with a ranged versus ranged
30
matchup.
seconds until minions
Vayne
spawn.
versus Caitlyn, although I say ranged versus ranged. The ranged advantage decidedly in favor of the Caitlyn. Let's see the bone plating triggering there, but not getting the headshot off means that this isn't too bad of a trade. And indeed a meaningless one as we see both marksmen looking to reset, refill those health bars. Neither one opting to use a potion. Exhaust barrier for Fuldmathr. Meanwhile, Flash and Ghost for Ulfald, who has opted for the fleet footwork over a lethal tempo or press the attack. Fuldmathr sticking with his tried and true lethal tempo. Does grab an Oracle Lens on his way back. Oh, my apologies. We've got our sides mixed up here, don't we? Give me a moment. Thankfully, the players not killing each other while I am adjusting that. There we are. Fuldmathr versus Ulfald here. Just a bit of CS to start things off with, but very, very difficult to space the autos correctly here in this matchup. However, especially level 6 onward, there's definitely the all-in potential for the Vayne, but that will very much rely on not being out of health by that point, which is a major challenge, particularly against a challenger such as Fuldmathr. Not a literal challenger, of course, but a very good player. Ooh, and the Piltover Peacemaker landing. Your little snap traps thrown left and right. You can see Ulfald will have the fleet footwork to sustain, but it's still going to be a major challenge navigating this 1v1.
Freeze.
Oof. And hitting that, okay. With the tumble, able to get out of the Peacemaker, but still a lot of damage. And it can be challenging here. You're trying to navigate a Caitlyn with a tremendous amount of range.
Going somewhere?
Ooh, and he steps on another one there. The Peacemaker again dodged out from. You're trying to navigate that along with CSing under turret, which is a bit mentally taxing. At least for me, anyway. Very low on health as Ulfald, and no defensive summoners to speak of means that... Okay, no Peacemaker lands there, and level 4 helps him just a tad bit. Oof, but the headshot. Bold move from Ulfald to stick around here. Just trying to grab what CS he can, maybe looking to just hit a certain gold breakpoint where he will be able to pick up at least something like maybe a long sword. I mean, even a dagger, but I think that would be a bit disappointing. No 90 caliber net. Okay, nicely played by Ulfald there. Dodges the Peacemaker and the net, but one more auto nearly takes him out. He's just waiting now, potentially looking for, yeah. Fuldmathr is going to back off, not going to go for a cheeky Peacemaker under the turret. But 31 to 14, the CS difference now. Ulfald with 500 plus gold, able to grab a longsword and refillable pot. And Fuldmathr actually doing almost the exact same thing. Difference is he'll have an extra longsword to his name, so that poke will be even more deadly. Again, once that level 6 point hits, potentially Ulfald going to be able to look for an all-in. It's still going to rely on, I mean, at this stage, the Caitlyn is just as much a mage as a marksman. Weaving those headshots in, making sure the Piltover Peacemaker and the 90 caliber net lands, that's going to be huge. You can see the auto condemn pattern there, able to get the Silver Bolt's proc, but still the range just so difficult for Ulfald to navigate. Shooting through those potions, both players actually. pushed just a bit in favor of Ulfald at the moment. He's going to be looking here, maybe potentially for another condemn. Okay, he's looking for 2 Silver Bolt procs. The exhaust is there. The Peacemaker is massive. No flash available for Fuldmathr. One more auto would do it. He's got the lethal tempo stacking. Not able to find it. Ulfald with a flash and a ghost unused. Does make me wonder if potentially something like the exhaust, even a heal, but exhaust, barrier, potentially seeing more use. Ulfald actually canceling the recall there. I think maybe suspected Piltover Peacemaker headed his way. Doesn't wind up happening, but Fuldmathr going to harvest a turret plate and extend that CS lead to 30 plus at this point. Again, with no teleport either, Ulfald going to have to walk all the way back to lane. Fuldmathr with a good back timing at this point. Boots is what is picked up there for the Vayne. Fuldmathr was considering a Vamp Scepter. Sold it. Still considering. Still shopping. Ah, okay. Opts for the Vamp Scepter and a Cloth Armor. We saw him experimenting with a couple of long swords there. Decides that having that extra lifesteal and just a little bit of armor early on so impactful, and there's no armor pen, and just the amount of AD that's available means that that armor really does take a major chunk out of the physical damage the Vayne is going to be able to do. Yes, the Silver Bolts is true damage, but this early on in the game, you really are looking at physical damage, and more and more so, a lot of Vaynes are looking at the Q-Max. That final hour is going to be available for Ulfald now. He can look for the all-in. Potentially goes now. I think just... Ooh, he does step in the trap, though. The auto, the Peacemaker. One more headshot to do it. Looking for it. The barrier. The final auto will finish it off. Fuldmathr 1-0 over Ulfald.
A summoner has disconnected.
And with that victory, we'll be headed to Game 2 shortly. It looks like the players are already underway in-game, but with our spectator delay, that means we will be back in just about 2.5 minutes for coverage of Game 2 of the Aesir 1v1 Grand Finals. Here we go for game number 2 between Ulfald and Fuldmathr here in the finals of the Aesir 1v1, the 8th Aesir 1v1 to be specific. Again, a changed matchup and not a champion that I can recall seeing in a while on either side. Annie versus Varus. Ulfald with the flash, the ignite, the electrocute, all in potential for sure. Fuldmathr, very defensive. Again, barrier and exhaust along with a lethal tempo. Fuldmathr already up 1 game here in this best of 5. We'll see if Ulfald could even things up, or if Fuldmathr will take us to match point.
Minions have spawned.
All quiet early on here in the Rift. Now Fuldmathr going to risk going forward. Going to get hit by a stun there. Trade just about even, but late enough now that neither player can afford to reset. Ball going to be on the top end of that one, and that increased. Oh, the exhaust goes down onto the Annie, and now the ignite there onto the Varus. We could have an early death here. Ulfald flashing away from the hail of arrows. Will not have that flash ignite then for quite a while. Does have the stun, but he's going to have to get into Q range, which is going to mean taking a lot of damage from the Varus. It looked close, but with the lethal tempo and the autos, you know the Varus is going to eventually start to win that trade. The exhaust helping him out as well. Now Ulfald just hoping to hit that level 2 point. We'll need, I think, 2 more minions to do it. And there he goes. But now level 3 for the Varus. Gotta be careful. Start stacking those blight stacks, detonating them. It is a massive amount of damage. Piercing arrow does a tremendous amount as well with the W active, the percent health. Now looking to aim, and Ulfald dodges. Looking for a level 2. Again, though, going to be challenging for, I think, the Annie to navigate this without having that flash. So crucial to be able to engage at that point, or with that tool, rather. And certainly at level 6, the flash Tibbers is always going to be crazy. You see Fuldmathr pinging that flash out for himself, I assume, for timekeeping sake. Was actually used quite a while ago, so we'll see if he remembers to do a little additional subtraction there, but Ulfald's still looking for level 4, still a little behind the XP curve. There he goes. He could potentially get some brush control. That's certainly an opportunity. Fuldmathr does not have a ward. He has the Oracle Lens, so he can't see. I mean, he can tell if Ulfald is in there, and he can clear wards, but he won't be able to target the Annie. So potentially that can kind of give the angle where you can actually hit him with a Q stun or maybe an ult. I think it is going to be challenging. We got probably a good 3 minutes, give or take, maybe 2.5 before Ulfald's flash is going to be back up. He will have that opportunity. Oh, actually walking right up there and getting the electrocute, but now Fuldmathr looking for potentially 1 more arrow. That would do it. Ooh, I'm surprised Ulf even walked back there. I don't know if maybe Fuldmath's piercing arrow wasn't up. I would have thought he just throws a piercing arrow for those blight stacks there. Maybe I didn't see exactly. Strong CS lead for the Varus early on, though, 40-23. And a reset comes through, and again, Fuldmathr very defensive in these 1v1s. Opts for the Negatron Cloak just to counteract that magic damage. has a 17 CS lead, wants to make sure he does not get all-inned by Ulfald. Or if he does, that it's just not going to work because he'll survive the whole thing. He'll just tank it with Negatron, Cloak, Barrier, Exhaust, and then just start lethal tempoing the Annie down. Boots and an Amp Tome the purchase there for Ulfald. Fortunately, again, this early on, not really any realistic chance of a lot of magic pens, so that MR from Fuldmathr really getting your money's worth. Looking for the stun there is Ulfald. Gets the electrocute off with an auto, but the trade back from Fuldmathr is huge. Ooh! Nicely done by Ulf to dodge out on that. Ooh, does not get the stun, though. That's crucial. Looking for the arrow is Fuldmathr. Looking to dodge it is Ulf. He does dodge it. Nicely done, but now the exhaust. This could be too late. 2 more autos will do it. Fuldmathr. Oh, the shield barely saves Ulfald. That's going to buy him another recall. Did get the exhaust out. Will have his flash coming up. Will hit level 6 soon. That could be the point. Does the Negatron Cloak and the Barrier have enough to keep Fuldmathr alive? Because you know Ulfald down about 25 CS or more now will be looking for that all-in to try to take us to a tied-up Game 3. Without that Chain of Corruption, that's big. Although you can see it's the cooldown is not that bad even at level 1. He'll have it back up pretty soon. So, in fact, he may have it back up. I think he will by the time he gets back into lane. So I think that's going to be huge. And towards a wit's end, Fuldmathr is building here. I wonder if we'll actually see him complete that or not. Gets the refillable pot and the recurve bow. Ulfald upgraded to the Ether Wisp there. A little extra move speed. I think could be crucial with the boots just to close that distance. With the flash, just to be able to get onto the Barris. But again, I mean, the Barrier, the Negatron Cloak, it's going to be hard to 100 to 0 in this early on. I think Ulfald may have to try to find a trade or two. Get him kind of low. Doesn't have a tremendous amount of sustain outside of just refillable pot. They're looking for the stun. The Summon Tibbers comes out. Quite a lot of damage, but only takes Fuldmathr to about half health. Tibbers still on the rampage. It's going to be big. I think Fuldmathr finally takes down that rampant bear, but I don't know if he just looks for a reset here. He's got the Chains of Corruption. I think he's going to be looking for that. Here comes the stun. Now the Ignite comes down. The Barrier is there. He's going to look for it. He's going to get dodged out from by Ulfald. The arrow is going to land. Very little mana for the Annie. Flash still available. Fuldmathr, though, levels up. He's feeling pretty good with those potions. He's got the HP advantage. Does not have the ult, but if he can just get an auto or two and an arrow, that could be huge. Oh, the damage there from the empowered Q is massive. The execute comes through. Fuldmathr now up 2-0. That will mean match point here in Game 3 of the finals. And with that, we will head to a quick break here. We'll be back in just under 3 minutes for coverage of Game 3. Fuldmathr up 2-0. He could win himself a 5th championship in a few minutes here, or Ulfald could begin a reverse sweep. We'll find out in a few minutes.
to Summoner's Rift.
Apologies for the disruption there on the stream. We are back for coverage of game number 3 of the Aesir 1v1 Grand
30
Finals.
seconds until minions spawn.
Fuldmathr has won game 1 and game 2, putting it at match point here in this best of 5. A win here, game 3, would make him a 5-time Aesir 1v1 champion. Ulfald looking to end that reign, looking to make the reverse sweep happen. Fuldmathr is sticking with the Varus, the same setup as before that worked against the Annie. This time Ulfald with the exhaust, with the ignite, with the Hail of Blades Tristana. A Hail Mary play here, hoping he can turn the tides in this series. Mirrored start for both players in terms of items. The hail of arrows there, getting a little bit of poke damage onto the Tristana, but level 2. Ding, now the exhaust down, used by Fuldmathr. Ignite, we could be deciding the whole finals here. Exhaust back onto Fuldmathr. Ulfald wants to win this, but his lethal tempo against Hail of Blades. His attack speed has run out. One Murado, the barrier will make sure Fuldmathr is safe, and that'll do it. 3-0 Fuldmathr, Grand Champion once again. And with that, we will hear from Fuldmathr, perhaps the Grand Champion, and see if he has anything to say, if the 5th time is just as fun as the previous ones.
But that was my bad.
Congratulations, Fuldmathr. You're the Grand Champion of the Aesir 1v1, the 8th Aesir 1v1. If Fuldmathr's count is correct, it's your 5th time winning. Any words to the fans? Anyone you want to thank?
All the fans. Woo!
I have nothing to say.
Okay. Well, congratulations. And with that, we will go ahead and sign off. Thank you, Fuldmathr, for putting things together. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Hopefully, you'll be back for the next Aesir 1v1 2 weeks from today. Congratulations to Fuldmathr, our champion, once again. Thank you to all of the viewers, of course. Make sure to check out all of our links on our page here, the Warriors of Aesir. We have hosted this tournament. And that being said, I will go ahead and sign off. Have a good night.